Hi, this is Andrea Walford, founder of Sunny Stampin' Incorporated and the Paper Crafters Library. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create this fun and easy birthday card, which features Stampin' Up's Celebrations designer paper and quick accents and their Bday Party Rub-ons. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to die cut and punch the pieces that I need out of metal. Now I am using this lightweight copper premium craft foil, which I bought from Spellbinders on a roll. And as you can see here, it's a copper color on one side, and then it's a silver color on the other. So for my numbers, I'm using Stampin' Up's Timeless Type Alphabet Junior Sizzlet. I'm opening up my multi-purpose platform. So I've opened up tab 2, so we're now on tab 1. I then have my cutting plate. And then I'm going to put, this is a piece of lightweight chipboard which I cut from the back of one of the packages of designer paper that Stampin' Up sells. And I'm using that as a shim. With the Sizzlet dies and this metal, I do find that you need a little bit of extra pressure to make sure that the die cuts all the way through the metal. So I'm just cutting a small piece from a scrap of metal that I have left over from another project, and I want the silver side to be showing upwards for my number. So when I place it on my die, because all the numbers are in their reverse, I'm placing it with the other side, the copper side, facing upwards. So I'm just going to lay that on top of my die, and I'm then going to take my cutting plate to create my sandwich and then run this through my Big Shot. And I'm going to use that same process a second time so that I can die cut 2 of the number 1s for this card. So now you can see, now that I've run this through my Big Shot, how the number has kind of stuck to the die itself. So I'm just using a pair of tweezers to very gently loosen it, and then very carefully I'm pulling it off the die. Now if you find when you're handling the metal it gets kind of crinkled, you can use something like this. This is a tool from 10 Second Studio. It's a large eraser tool, and it's used to help straighten out any lines and creases in metal. So once my numbers were cut out using my Sizzix die, I then used this Stampin' Up cogs die to punch out my little cogs. Now this punch I've found is a little bit tricky to use. It does not punch as easily as many of the other Stampin' Up punches. If you can see here, here's an example how it just punched partially through. Now in general, punches are supposed to have the strength to punch through metal. But for some reason, this one I find you need to apply a lot of pressure. So ideally, you want to have your punch laying on a hard, stable surface. You're going to slide your piece of metal or paper, whatever you're punching out of, in, and then you want to apply a lot of pressure when you push your punch down. And you do have to press very hard when you're doing that, otherwise you can end up with partially punched pieces like this one. So now that we have our metal pieces die cut, we're going to move on to putting the border on the card. So here I've got a piece of Whisper White cardstock that's 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to decorate it using these sticker or self-adhesive die cut borders from Stampin' Up's Celebrations Quick Accents. I'm going to start with the striped border, and using my grid lines as a guide, I'm going to start by sticking this border so that the bottom edge is 3/4 of an inch up from the bottom edge of the Whisper White cardstock piece. I'm then going to lay it across and use my snips to trim it down to the correct size. Now in all of this, when you're using these quick accents, you want to be very careful that you handle it as little as possible. So try not to get your fingers on the adhesive part, because you'll start to lose some of the tackiness, and then it's not going to stick properly either to your paper or back to the sheet. So now the next one that I'm going to apply is this rickrack style border, and I'm just going to place it so that it's a little bit below the striped border. And then the last border I'm going to use is this number 1. So the next step is to apply my greeting. Now for this, you could use a stamp, but I'm using my Stampin' Up Bday Party Rub-ons, which is a collection of rub-ons that coordinates with these quick accents as well as the Celebrations designer paper that's also sold by Stampin' Up. So I'm going to use this Celebrate Happy B-Day rub-on greeting, and I'm cutting the entire greeting off of that transfer sheet, or separating it from the other one, so that when I'm transferring it, I don't accidentally wreck any of the other ones. And then once it's in place, I'm just going to very gently rub my fingers over it to help initially adhere it to the paper, and then I'm going to use my popsicle stick to apply the rub-on. So when you're done rubbing all over the rub-on, as you can see, I'm still holding this in place, and then I'm very carefully peeling off the transfer sheet, and I'm doing it very slowly because I want to check to see if the rub-on has stuck to it anywhere, because if it has, I'm just going to lay it back down and then rub in that section. So you can see now how the greeting has transferred. So now I'm going to use my double-sided adhesive to center and stick this onto my real red card front. And my card is just a standard 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch size. So the next thing I want to add to my card are my die cut stars. And to die cut my stars, I use this Sizzix die. It's called Stars number 2, and it has, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but it has 4 different size stars, and I use the 2 largest stars. And I die cut them out of Stampin' Up's Celebrations designer paper. So I'm going to put the largest star on my card with a little bit of the double-sided adhesive. And then I'm going to put the second star onto my card with a Stampin' Dimensional on the back. So now the last thing that I have for my card is to stick on my metal accents. And to do that, I'm going to be using the Ranger Inkessentials Matte Accents. And it's a clear drying dimensional glue, and this one dries with a matte finish. If you don't have this, you could use something like Stampin' Up's Crystal Effects, which is also a dimensional glue, except it dries with a glossy finish. So if you do use that one, you do want to make sure that it doesn't gush out the sides, because you'll see the telltale shininess from where the glue's leaked out. And once I place it onto my star, I'm just holding it, I held it down a little bit to give the glue a chance to set. And then I'm going to tuck that under the star. So this is what the project now looks like completed. Well, if you enjoyed this video and you enjoy my style of teaching and you'd like to learn even more, then I invite you to check out the Paper Crafters Library. It's an online library of paper crafting video tutorials. Whether you're beginner through to advanced, if you're interested in card making, scrapbooking, stamping, altered art, 3D items, even some mixed media, you'll find videos there for you. We show you how to use your products, we teach you some great tips and techniques, and we give you some fantastic project ideas.